It's 0700 hours, and you know what that means. Rise and shine, Johnny boy.
My man. It's too early. This is the first day of a proper summer vacation. I'm sure the rest of the parents out there are just as excited as I was to sleep in. The house is quiet. The car is quiet.
You'll be missing it before too long. Now, my youngest is excited to go to Lake Wanatel next year, but between you and me...
And the rest of Larkville, Virginia?
And the rest of Larkville, I promised to bring back that book this afternoon, Miss Havisham. There's some freaky-deaky vibes going on at that camp. Now, I remember when I was a kid that someone went out hiking after curfew and never came back.
Or he was a goof and had a pretty bummer summer because his parents had to come pick him up. My counselor threatened to send me home a time or 6.
Wasn't your camp counselor your cousin?
He earned an entire $1 an hour dealing with me that year.
I'm not stoked that my oldest niece is able to be a counselor next year, but at least the kids will know each other.
And then you'll have a proper quiet house again. Nice and still. That year I was grounded to help at Pop's shop for the summer. Who's to say it didn't happen?
You only had one more year at camp before it closed, right?
Alan, you don't need to get heavy this early in the morning. Let's see if we have anyone on the line who thinks our little Lake Wanatel has been worth reopening. Hello there. You're on with Alan and Johnny. What's your name and where are you from?
Hi, my name's Angela. I'm 13 and I'm calling from Turner Point.
Turner Point. That's a beautiful place. My in-laws live out there.
Welcome to the show, Angela. So tell us, what's got you excited for the summer?
Oh, summer camp. I've been begging to go for years and I finally get to go next year.
Ah, out of Lake Wanatel, I bet. What are you looking forward to the most?
Capture the flag, swimming, ghost stories. I really like ghost stories. I heard Lake Wanatel's super haunted. If it's anything like The Wicker Man or The Exorcist, then I can't wait.
Now, those movies are too scary even for me. But liking ghost stories makes a lot of sense, considering the history of Camp Wanatel. Anyway, Angela, I hope you have the summer of a lifetime.
Next caller, you're on with Alan and Johnny.
Hey, boys, it's Sharon from over in Miller's Ridge. You know, Johnny, I went to that year you missed. I'm sure we remember it wrong because we were kids, but there was some weird stuff that happened.
Morning, Sharon. Nothing as bad as The Exorcist, though.
Nothing that bad, except, well, I was a counselor back in '54. We had a lot of kids from out of town that year, plenty who never spent much time in the woods or the mountains at all. Even 1 or 2 from New York who came in because they had family in the area.
Ooh, I know where this is going. Parents, teach your kids to avoid bears so they don't end up like the Wicker Man. You coming to the game on Friday, Sharon?
Am I? It's gonna be a gas. You know, last time I came up to see a game with my sister, we ended up getting lost.
See? I told you we get to be in Toad Cabin. My brother says Mark is totally groovy. They're in math together.
He wasn't groovy when he said we couldn't go on a hike yesterday. My mom says that you can really see the stars out here. How dark does it get?
You're not from around here, are you?
So?
So, there's a reason we came back after dinner. It makes sense.
Because we'd fall off a cliff or something?
I mean, you could, but that's not the worst thing. One summer, a kid went out after dark, and my brother says that something really bad happened. And that's why he isn't a counselor this year.
You're trying to fake me out.
Am not. He said so. And he tried telling my parents not to let me go to camp.
So he's a square.
Jeepers creepers, calm down. You're supposed to be getting ready for swim safety. Why are we freaking out?
If you're worried about how your swimsuit looks, no one's going to care if you hit the mud puddles on the way out.
She said that we aren't allowed to go out after dark because her brother let a kid fall off a cliff and then he drowned.
I never said that!
She said you're in math with her brother, and that's why he's a square and didn't come to camp, and she thinks I don't know stuff because I don't live in this stupid town.
Your Kenny's sister?
Uh-huh. He said something bad happened, and that's why we don't get to go on midnight hikes anymore.
Okay, Toad Cabin. I need you to promise to be croaking quiet about this, you dig? We're gonna tell you about why we canceled the midnight hikes.
Well, we still have the late ones for s'mores and looking for bats and stuff. If anyone asks, it wasn't about this camp and it was just a ghost story.
My brother said he wasn't allowed to talk about it.
Did you ask him after sundown?
He had football practice and got home late. Does that matter?
Okay, Toad Cabin. Open up the windows and turn on all the lights.
Do you want to tell it, or should I?
I'll do it. I talked to the cops.
You talked to the fuzz?
It was right before camp started, just 2 years ago.
The night is still, the forest dark. A distant scream, a lantern's spark. Through tangled woods you make your way, where unseen eyes observe their prey. A creaking branch, a whispered name, a chilling wind, an ebbing flame. The path ahead is cold and frail. Secrets weave through night's thin veil. Old legends speak of spirits near, of those who vanished, drowned in fear. Moonlight fades and shadows swell on the trail to Wanatel.
Her name was Connie. It was her second year at Lake Wanatel, but she didn't live nearby. She'd made friends her first year, and now she was set to be a counselor. Everyone was stoked, and she decided that she was gonna go wish on a star to make sure her cabin had the best time. There were rules then, just like there are rules now. The way we say the same thing when we put out the fire.
Snuff the flame, only ashes remain.
We don't go swimming after eating. Don't take the North Trail if it's raining. Don't say thank you if you don't mean it. And always have a buddy. That was a rule she didn't think it would be too bad to break. We didn't have a rule about no midnight hikes then. We'd never had a camp counselor from out of state before either. Everyone knew to stay close to the cabins after dark, or at least to go in a group. She waited until the rest of them, us, were asleep. She got her shoes on and took a flashlight and extra batteries and opened the door as quietly as she could. Connie swore that for just a second, someone was watching her from the darkness of the room. She almost turned her flashlight on. Instead, she listened harder for someone to move on their bunk. The ones in that cabin are the oldest and the creakiest, and she knew that if anyone was awake, she would hear them. Nothing. Not even a fake snore. Something about that made her uneasy, and she looked into the deeper pockets of shadow. She could barely make out the shape of her friends in the dark, and for a minute she considered waking someone up. But the thought of being completely alone with the stars at the top of the trail was too good to resist. Connie's late adventure started out great. We only turned the power on the week before all the campers arrive, so it was dark and quiet. She was used to the sound of the city, and she'd never been able to hear herself think. Connie wasn't the type of person to be afraid of much, and she was able to look through the trees and reassure herself whenever she heard something that didn't make sense. When she was far enough away from the cabin that it wouldn't wake the rest of us up, she turned on her flashlight. Connie kept the beam low so she could see where she was going, but she started getting really comfortable, and it was the first time she saw bats. It was the first time she saw an owl and didn't just hear it. She started thinking that maybe a quiet nighttime hike would be just the thing to help campers appreciate the woods the way she learned to last year. But the feeling that something was looking at her didn't go away. Connie kept checking the trail behind her and shining the light on the trees. But then the feeling would move. She even had the bright idea that someone was watching her in the cabin after all and snuck out after her to scare her. Maybe, she thought, she could surprise them instead if she hid behind the underbrush at the edge of the trail. Even if it was just a startled deer, it'd be better to get those eyes off the back of her neck. She still hadn't seen any stars, and she didn't want to miss her chance. So, Connie turned off the flashlight, and the trail went dark. Whatever had been looking at her was now watching her. She'd never gone cold with fear before. Her stomach clenched, and she thought about holding her breath or hiding. But whatever was there was everywhere and getting closer. Connie's school took a field trip to a cave once, and this was that same darkness. She was the one holding the flashlight, though, so she quickly tried to turn it back on. The night grew so dark she couldn't see her own hand in front of her face, or even the light that was supposed to be coming from her flashlight. She tried changing the batteries first and told herself it was just cloud cover that made everything so black. It wasn't until she tossed the first pair of batteries away and crammed the new ones in that Connie realized she was holding her breath. No matter what she did, the thing that was in the dark, that was the dark, patiently waited. She could feel it within reach. Again and again, she tried to get her flashlight to work. When nothing happened, she didn't hesitate to turn around and start running. It didn't even bother to chase her. The dark just laid itself on her like a blanket. And, for the first time, Connie screamed. It was cold and heavy, like she'd plunged into the lake before the sun caught it. And it was everywhere. She kept pushing forward, and she kept screaming, but everything else stayed quiet. The sky was gone, and the moon. She couldn't hear or see anything, but she knew if she really tried to look, she would see whatever was waiting for her. All she could do was run.
Okay, but if this really happened, how do you know all the parts about how she felt? Or what she said?
Yeah, you said she went off alone.
Kenny and I found her outside the cabin, 10, maybe 15 feet away. A couple of us woke up when the cabin door closed behind her, and we figured she was coming back inside when she remembered she needed a buddy. When she didn't, we woke up everybody else and went outside looking as a group. I've never stepped outside and heard nothing before. When we started calling her name, it was like everything remembered it was supposed to make noise.
She was in the middle of screaming. We hadn't heard her at all, and then suddenly she was right outside the lights from the cabin windows, screaming herself hoarse.
We got her to calm down before the camp director heard her and got her inside. None of us believed her, even though her clothes were stained with streaks of black, like she'd been rolling in a bunch of tar. We were all pretty upset. Kept telling her to stop messing around, and she finally went into the bathroom to change her clothes. And she was so freaked out, she forgot that the light switch isn't in there. It's on the wall by the door. Connie made a noise when the door shut, but that was it.
We all got quiet. I think one of us called her name, asked if she was okay. One of the other girls turned on the light and opened the door. Connie was just gone. She was alone in the dark for only a second, and just like that.
It's just an old cabin. It's okay. It's just the light.
That's one way to stop them from sneaking out after curfew.
Do you really think she snuck out of the bathroom like Mrs. Wade told the cops?
I don't know. Connie was kind of a space cadet, but I don't think she was pulling her leg about something watching her. This camp has gotten weird, man. Where did you put those extra light bulbs?
Oh, they're in the same drawer as before. I've got enough in there for the wiring to go bad a couple more times before we have to tell Mrs. Wade. Why'd you tell him it was the tiger cabin that we were staying? Toad cabin is the one with the weird bathroom light.
Last year, none of the campers wanted to use the bathroom, and 2 of them wet the bed because of it. This way, the worst thing they'll do is want to sleep with the lights on.
Do you think the bulb in the nightlight in the bathroom is working?
I'll check. I put an extra one in there after last summer.
Hey, Mark, these new bulbs are just as dim as the last ones.
Oh.
You're sure they're new?
Wait, my mom bought them right before I came to camp. Are they busted?
I don't know. They're just not super bright.
The ones in the bathroom seem okay enough.
Alright, well, I've got extra flashlights, some candles, and my dad's army flashlight, all next to my bed.
We're just freaking ourselves out now. Man, these bulbs really are dim. Do you think...
Shh.
What?
We should get our campers before we get in trouble leaving them alone.
Yeah, I bet they're already at the lake.
Credits to the cast in order of appearance. Tory Doctor as Alan Wilson, Jeff Moats as Johnny Cowan, Marlon Dance-Hooi as the narrator, Luke Kimbro as Joey Miller, Amaan HK as Mark Greene. Additional voices by M. Cross, Artemis Maia Sanders, Ely King, Kelly the Kellhop. And credits to our crew, executive producer and associate writer Erin Valentine, lead producer and associate writer Saff Brydebell, lead writer Adelle King, script editors Ely King and Xavier Searle, lawkeeper Ely King, lead audio engineer, composer and associate writer Meg McKellar, audio engineers Esti Hernandez and Jacob Gucci Yamaguchi, lead visuals artist Dexter Valentine, visuals artist M.B. Lee. Thank you for listening to 1.7 Miles to Lake Wanatel, a Honeydew Studios production. We hope you enjoyed. Tune in next Saturday for a new episode.